Have you ever heard of Archangel Michael, the most powerful angel in the heavens, who fights directly against the forces of evil? In today's video, you will discover how he plays a crucial role in spiritual battles and in the final events of humanity. So go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment on what you already know about this warrior angel. Stay until the end, because we will reveal incredible details about the appearances and miracles attributed to him over the centuries. Let's embark together on this powerful spiritual journey. Who is Archangel Michael? Archangel Michael is one of the most powerful and revered figures in both Christianity and other religious traditions. His name, which means "who is like God," is not just a title, but a rhetorical question that highlights his absolute loyalty to God and his role as a defender of the faith. He is mentioned directly in 3 books of the Bible: in the book of Daniel, the Epistle of Jude, and Revelation. In Daniel, Michael appears as the protector of the people of Israel, symbolizing his mission to fight on behalf of God's people in times of distress. In the Epistle of Jude, he is mentioned in a dispute with the devil over the body of Moses, a brief passage that demonstrates his role as the defender of souls and the executor of divine orders. In Revelation, Michael leads the heavenly armies in a war against the dragon, identified as Satan, in one of the most iconic scenes of the sacred text. Throughout Christian history, Archangel Michael has been associated with various spiritual roles. He is seen not only as the defender against the powers of darkness, but also as the angel of death, the one who guides the souls of the righteous to paradise and weighs souls on Judgment Day. This vision is widely explored in Christian iconography, where he appears holding a scale, symbolizing divine justice. In Jewish mystical tradition, Archangel Michael is also seen as the defender of Israel, fighting on behalf of the chosen people in spiritual wars. Michael also has a strong connection to the concept of justice. He is the angel God sends when justice needs to be restored, whether in spiritual battles or earthly challenges. His flaming sword, frequently depicted in artistic representations, is a symbol of this power to restore order and eliminate evil. It is no coincidence that he is considered the commander of the heavenly army. His figure is invoked in prayers for protection against the attacks of evil, serving as a constant reference for Christians in moments of weakness or temptation. His devotion spans centuries, having been particularly strong during the Middle Ages, when Europe was surrounded by beliefs in the supernatural and the power of angels. The Church dedicated several temples to him, such as the famous Monte Gargano in Italy, where, according to tradition, he appeared in the 5th century. The Basilica of St. Michael the Archangel, built at that site, became one of the most important pilgrimage centers in Christianity. Additionally, Mont Saint-Michel in France is another iconic example of his significance in Christian culture, being one of the most impressive religious monuments in Europe. The spiritual battle of Michael against Satan. The spiritual battle between Michael and Satan, described in the book of Revelation, is one of the most intense and symbolic passages in the Bible, representing the cosmic struggle between good and evil. In chapter 12 of Revelation, Michael appears as the leader of the heavenly forces that fight the dragon, a figure representing Satan, the great adversary of God. This passage is filled with deep symbolism, as it not only depicts a literal battle, but also portrays the spiritual conflict taking place in the heavenly realm, reflecting the struggles humans face daily against the forces of evil. The description of the battle mentions that there was a war in heaven, and Michael, along with his angels, fought against the dragon and his followers. The dragon, identified as Satan, is described as a creature with 7 heads and 10 horns, symbolizing chaos, destruction, and the oppressive power of evil. Michael, on the other hand, appears as the defender of divine justice and holiness. By winning this battle and casting Satan and his rebellious angels out of heaven, Michael ensures that God's kingdom remains incorruptible and that divine authority is upheld. Michael's victory is not just physical but spiritual, showing that evil cannot prevail against the power of God. This battle also echoes a theme present in other parts of Scripture: Satan's role as the accuser of the faithful. In Jewish and Christian tradition, Satan is often portrayed as the one who tempts, deceives, and accuses God's servants, seeking their destruction. Michael's victory over him represents the final triumph of truth over lies, of light over darkness. Symbolically, this fight also reflects the inner conflict Christians experience in their lives, striving to resist the temptations, accusations, and deceptions of the enemy. Moreover, Michael's battle against Satan is seen by many theologians as a prelude to the events of the end times. In Christian eschatology, Revelation anticipates a series of events culminating in the final defeat of evil and the establishment of God's eternal kingdom. The figure of Michael, therefore, is central to understanding this eschatological scenario. His victory in heaven reflects the ultimate triumph of Christ over Satan, which will occur at the end of time when evil will be finally destroyed and creation will be restored in justice and holiness. In early Christianity, this heavenly battle between Michael and Satan was also interpreted as a reflection of the persecutions Christians suffered at the hands of the Roman Empire. Many church fathers saw in Michael a figure symbolizing the resistance of the faithful against the oppressive forces of this world. Thus, Michael's victory was a sign of hope for Christians, that just as he triumphed in heaven, God's justice and truth would also prevail on earth. Throughout history, this vision has been widely adopted in Christian spirituality. Saint Michael began to be invoked in prayers and exorcism rituals as protection against evil influences. One of the most famous prayers in this context is the prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, composed by Pope Leo XIII in the 19th century, following an apocalyptic vision of the spiritual battle between the Church and the forces of Satan. In this prayer, the faithful ask for Michael's protection against the snares of the evil one and implore him to cast the demons into the abyss, just as he did in heaven. The image of Saint Michael as the defender of the righteous also gained strength in Christian iconography. Paintings and sculptures throughout the centuries depict him as a powerful warrior with shining armor and a sword in hand, crushing the dragon under his feet. This representation is not only a reminder of his victory over Satan, but also a symbol of the ongoing struggle that every Christian faces against evil. Michael's sword symbolizes divine justice, while the fallen dragon at his feet represents the final defeat of the forces of evil. The importance of Michael in Catholicism. The importance of Archangel Michael in Catholicism is one of the most profound and ancient traditions of the Christian faith, spanning centuries of devotion, history, and spirituality. From the early centuries of the Church, Michael has been venerated as the protector against evil, the great defender of divine justice, and the guardian of the faithful. His figure, being the most powerful of the angels, symbolizes God's strength and direct action against the forces of darkness and sin. In Catholicism, Michael plays a multifaceted role. He is both the angel of personal protection and the defender of the universal church. Devotion to him grew significantly from the 4th century, especially in Europe, when Christians felt a greater need for protection from spiritual and physical dangers. This coincided with the strengthening of the Christian faith after the Roman Empire's conversion to Christianity, and Michael quickly became the patron not only of individuals, but of entire nations. Monte Gargano in Italy is one of the most important places associated with the veneration of Saint Michael. According to tradition, in the late 5th century, the archangel appeared several times on Monte Gargano to a local shepherd, revealing his presence and desire for the site to be dedicated to him. The construction of the sanctuary of Saint Michael on Monte Gargano became one of the most significant pilgrimage centers in medieval Europe. Thousands of pilgrims from all over Europe traveled there, seeking protection, healing, and the intercession of the Archangel. This place became a spiritual fortress for centuries, especially for those seeking refuge from wars and plagues that ravaged the continent. Devotion to Saint Michael spread rapidly throughout Europe and the Christian world. During the Middle Ages, his cult was so popular that the Archangel came to be considered the patron of warriors and knights. Several important battles were fought in his name, with armies invoking his help and protection. This association with spiritual warfare was also extended to the battle against evil in daily life. The Church designated him as the Prince of the Heavenly Host, recognizing his role as the commander of the army of angels that fights against Satan and his demons. One of the most emblematic examples of Saint Michael's veneration is Mont Saint-Michel in France. This site, surrounded by mystery and spirituality, became an icon of devotion to the Archangel. The abbey, built in the 8th century, is located on a small island that, during high tide, is isolated from the mainland, creating an aura of protection and holiness around the place. Mont Saint-Michel became not only a symbol of Saint Michael's strength and protection, but also of the unwavering faith of Christians who, like the island, stand firm amidst storms and difficulty. In addition to pilgrimage sites, Saint Michael's influence is deeply felt in Catholic prayers. One of the most well-known is the Prayer to Saint Michael, composed by Pope Leo XIII. After a vision in which the Pope reportedly saw a fierce battle between the forces of the Church and those of Satan, he wrote this prayer asking for Saint Michael's intercession to protect the Church from spiritual attack. This prayer became a part of the daily liturgy for Catholics and is often recited at the end of Mass, especially in times of crisis or temptation. Saint Michael's role as the Church's protector is also deeply rooted in Catholic theology. He is seen as the guardian of the Church against heresies, corruption, and spiritual attacks. In many narratives throughout history, Michael has been credited with miraculous interventions, protecting not only individuals, but entire nations. For example, during the Black Plague and other pandemics that struck Europe, devastated populations turned to Saint Michael, seeking his protection and healing. His figure became a symbol of hope in the midst of despair, a reminder that evil, whether physical or spiritual, would never have the final word. Michael is also seen as the guide of souls at the moment of death. Catholic tradition teaches that, at the end of life, he presents himself alongside the soul of the faithful, helping them face judgment. This role as a psychopomp, or one who leads souls, reinforces the idea that Michael not only fights against evil on the earthly plane, but also in the spiritual realm, ensuring that righteous souls find their way to eternal life with God. In iconography, he is often depicted holding a scale, symbolizing the weighing of souls at the final judgment. This view of Saint Michael as a spiritual defender has had a profound impact on the prayer life of Catholics. Over the centuries, he has been invoked in times of personal and communal distress, as the protector against the enemy's attacks and the defender of the faith. His presence in the Church's tradition remains vibrant today as one of the most invoked and revered saints in times of spiritual crisis. Michael in Orthodox tradition and other religions. Archangel Michael holds a central role not only in Catholicism but also in other religious traditions, such as Orthodoxy and Islam. His figure as a powerful, just, and protective celestial being transcends any single belief or doctrine. Each tradition views Michael with specific nuances, but in all, he's recognized as an agent of God, a defender of truth and justice who fights against evil and protects the faithful. In the Orthodox tradition, Saint Michael is equally venerated as the leader of the heavenly hosts, and his role is prominently highlighted in liturgical celebrations and festivals. One of the major feasts dedicated to him occurs in November, called the Synaxis of the Archangels, which celebrates not only Michael but all archangels and angels, acknowledging the crucial role of celestial beings in protecting and interceding for humans. The Orthodox Church also holds the belief that Michael was present at crucial moments in sacred history, such as the expulsion of Satan from heaven, and during direct interventions in both spiritual and earthly battles. One aspect emphasized by the Orthodox Church is Michael's role as a guardian of souls at the moment of death, similar to the Catholic view. However, in the Orthodox context, this belief is accentuated by a series of prayers that invoke the Archangel to help souls cross the trials they face after death, particularly during what is known as the aerial toll houses, a spiritual journey souls undergo on their way to heaven. In this sense, Michael is not only the celestial warrior, but also a compassionate guide who accompanies the righteous in the afterlife, protecting them from the temptations and traps of demons. The Orthodox Church also sees Michael as a protector of Christian communities. There are historical accounts of Saint Michael's appearances in times of need, where he intervened directly on behalf of the faithful. A notable example is the apparition of Saint Michael in the 4th century in the city of Colossae in Phrygia, where he reportedly saved the Christian inhabitants from a flood by diverting the course of a river. This event is celebrated by the Orthodox Church as a sign of the Archangel's continued protection over the faithful. Devotion to Saint Michael is especially strong in Russia, where churches and icons dedicated to him are widespread, and he is regarded as the defender of the Russian nation and people, particularly during times of invasion or external threat. In Islam, Michael, known as Michael, also occupies an important place among the great angels of God. According to Islamic tradition, he is one of the 4 main archangels, alongside Jibril, Gabriel, Israfil, and Azrael. The Quran mentions Michael as an angel who plays an essential role in distributing God's blessings, especially in providing food and rain to sustain life on earth. He is therefore an angel associated with mercy and divine generosity. In Islamic theology, angels are entirely obedient to God's will, and Michael, like the other archangels, has no free will but acts directly in accordance with Allah's commands. In addition to his role as a provider of sustenance, Michael also plays a part in preparing for the end of times. In Islamic eschatology, it is believed that he will be one of the angels responsible for helping bring about the final events of human history, being one of those entrusted with executing God's will during the day of judgment. However, unlike Christianity, Islam does not associate Michael directly with spiritual battles or the expulsion of Satan. He is seen more as an angel of mercy and provision, contrasting with Jibril, the angel of divine revelation. The veneration of Michael also appears in Jewish traditions, especially within the mystical branches of Judaism, such as Kabbalah. In Judaism, Michael is recognized as one of the most important angels, identified as the protector of Israel and the defender of the Jewish people. He appears in Midrashic and apocryphal traditions, where he is described as the angel who fights on behalf of God and intercedes for Israel before the divine throne. In the book of Daniel, Michael is referred to as the great prince who protects your people, Daniel 12:1, a key passage for understanding his role as a protector and spiritual warrior. Additionally, in the Talmud, he is described as the angel who accompanies the priests at the altar, reinforcing his connection with holiness and the worship of God. In Kabbalah, Michael is often associated with the Sephirah, which represents the goodness and mercy of God. This reflects a more compassionate dimension of his figure, beyond his well-known role as a celestial warrior. By acting in defense of Israel, Michael is seen as a mediator who brings divine blessings and protection, while also combating the adverse forces that seek to harm the chosen people. The universality of Michael across various religious traditions demonstrates that his figure transcends boundaries and reflects humanity's need for spiritual protection, justice, and divine intercession. While each tradition views him from a slightly different perspective, all share the belief in his unparalleled power and loyalty to God. The apparitions and miracles attributed to Archangel Michael. The apparitions and miracles attributed to Archangel Michael throughout history have fueled devotion to him in both Catholicism and other belief systems, reinforcing his image as a powerful protector and divine intercessor. These miraculous manifestations, occurring since the early centuries of Christianity, often happen during times of great need, when the faithful seek his help in crises, wars, or plagues. Reports of Saint Michael's apparitions are filled with deep symbolism and faith, solidifying his active presence in the spiritual lives of millions. One of the earliest and most well-known apparitions of Archangel Michael took place at Monte Gargano, Italy, in the late 5th century. According to tradition, Michael appeared to a local shepherd searching for one of his lost cows. The animal was found inside a cave, and when the shepherd tried to retrieve it, he received a message from Saint Michael stating that the location was sacred and should be revered. The news of the apparition spread quickly, and after several miraculous confirmations, the local bishop decided to dedicate the cave to Archangel Michael, building the sanctuary of Saint Michael, the Archangel. This event marked the beginning of a devotion that continues to this day, drawing pilgrims from around the world. The cave, situated atop a mountain, became a sacred place where numerous healings and miraculous interventions have been reported up to the present time. Another significant site in St. Michael's veneration is Castel Sant'Angelo in Rome. In 590, Rome was ravaged by a devastating plague. During a penitential procession organized by Pope Gregory the Great, St. Michael appeared atop the mausoleum of Emperor Hadrian in Rome, holding a flaming sword, signaling the end of the plague. In memory of this event, the mausoleum was renamed Castel Sant'Angelo, and a bronze statue of the Archangel with his sword was erected at the top of the fortress. This apparition reinforced Michael's image as a protector not only of individuals, but of entire cities and nations, capable of intervening in significant events to bring relief and protection. Throughout the Middle Ages, other apparitions of Saint Michael were reported, many occurring during battles and conflict. In the 12th century, during the famous Battle of Mont Saint-Michel, the Archangel was said to have appeared to help Norman warriors defeat Viking invaders attacking the coast of France. The site of the battle, Mont Saint-Michel, had already become an important pilgrimage center, dedicated to the Archangel after a previous apparition to Saint Aubert, Bishop of Antibes in 708. According to tradition, Saint Michael appeared to the bishop in a dream, instructing him to build a sanctuary in his honor atop an isolated mountain. After initially ignoring the dreams, the bishop had a vision in which Saint Michael touched his head, leaving a deep mark that convinced him to follow the instruction. The Mont Saint-Michel Abbey, built on a small rocky island accessible only during low tide, became one of the most iconic and revered sites dedicated to Saint Michael, attracting thousands of pilgrims to this day. Another important apparition of Saint Michael occurred in Tlaxcala, Mexico, in 1631, during the period of Spanish colonization. According to reports, Saint Michael appeared to an indigenous man named Diego Lazaro, instructing him to dig at a specific spring where miraculous water would be found, capable of curing illnesses. After initially ignoring the vision, Diego fell gravely ill, prompting him to reconsider the message. Following the Archangel's instructions, Diego found the spring and was miraculously healed. This miracle led to the establishment of the Sanctuary of Saint Michael del Milagro, which remains a pilgrimage site where the faithful seek healing and blessing. This apparition highlights the Archangel's role not only as a protector in times of war, but also as an agent of divine healing. In addition to apparitions, various miracles are attributed to Saint Michael, particularly in exorcisms and spiritual battles. Since the Middle Ages, Saint Michael has been invoked in exorcism rituals due to his biblical role as the leader of the heavenly forces against Satan and his demons. The famous prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, composed by Pope Leo XIII in the late 19th century, is one of the most widely used prayers for protection against demonic influences. According to accounts, the Pope had a vision during Mass in which he saw a great battle between the Church and Satan, with Saint Michael fighting alongside the people of God. This vision inspired him to write the prayer, asking for Michael's intercession against the wickedness and snares of the devil. The prayer became a powerful spiritual tool, recited by millions of the faithful over the centuries, especially in times of temptation or spiritual danger. The miracles attributed to Saint Michael extend beyond physical healings or spiritual battles, including protection against natural disasters and physical threats. During World War II, for instance, Catholic soldiers often invoke Saint Michael in their prayers, seeking protection amidst the horrors of the conflict. There are reports of soldiers claiming to have seen the Archangel on the battlefield, shielding them from bullets and bombing. Although these experiences are mostly personal, they reinforce the popular belief in Saint Michael's intercessory power during times of extreme need. Devotion to Saint Michael remains strong today, with numerous shrines and churches dedicated to him worldwide, where miracles continue to be reported by those seeking his intercession. His figure endures as one of the most powerful and revered in Christianity, not only as the leader of the heavenly armies, but as the angel who continues to intercede for the faithful, protecting them from spiritual and physical dangers, and bringing comfort in times of affliction. Michael's sword, a symbol of justice and power. The sword of Saint Michael, the Archangel, is one of the most iconic and meaningful symbols in Christian iconography, recognized not only as a weapon of battle, but as a powerful emblem of justice, truth, and divine protection. Always depicted holding a flaming sword, Michael is shown in a stance of combat, defeating the dragon, a symbolic representation of Satan or other evil forces. This symbol deeply resonates with the Archangel's mission as the leader of the heavenly armies and defender of the faith, inspiring believers throughout the centuries to invoke him in pursuit of justice and defense against evil. According to Christian tradition, Michael's sword is not an ordinary weapon. It symbolizes God's justice in action, a justice that not only combats darkness but also purifies and transforms. In medieval iconography, the sword is often seen as an extension of God's divine power, acting through Michael to execute the celestial will. The flame that often surrounds the sword reinforces this idea, symbolizing the divine light that dispels darkness and reveals truth. This flaming light is also a metaphor for the presence of God, which destroys evil through its holiness. In various biblical and apocryphal passages, flaming swords are mentioned as symbols of God's relentless justice, such as in the expulsion of Adam and Eve from Eden, where cherubim wield flaming swords to guard the path to the tree of life. In the battle of the Apocalypse, described in chapter 12 of Revelation, Saint Michael's sword is crucial to his victory over the dragon. In this celestial battle, the sword represents divine power in its struggle against the forces of evil, culminating in the definitive expulsion of Satan and his rebellious angels from heaven. Michael's victory with his flaming sword is thus a symbol of the final triumph of God over evil, offering believers hope that, at the end of time, evil will be completely defeated by the power of heaven. This apocalyptic vision of Michael, as the great warrior of the end times, also reflects his role as the executor of divine justice, tasked with eradicating evil and purifying the cosmos for God's reign. Furthermore, Michael's sword carries a more personal significance, especially in the context of the judgment of souls. In Christian iconography, Michael is often depicted holding a sword in one hand and scales in the other, reflecting his role in the final judgment. According to tradition, Michael will be present at the judgment of every soul, using his sword to separate the righteous from the wicked and his scales to weigh each person's actions. This image is particularly powerful, as it connects Michael's sword not only to the cosmic struggle between good and evil, but also to the individual spiritual life of every human being. His sword, therefore, is not just a symbol of destruction, but also of discernment, justice, and redemption, offering the righteous the protection and support they need to attain eternal life. Michael's sword appears not only in the Bible, but also in various apocryphal texts and mystical traditions. In apocryphal literature, Michael is described as the angel responsible for watching over the souls of the righteous and using his sword to protect the saints. In some Jewish traditions, he is seen as God's great warrior who intercedes on behalf of the people of Israel, wielding his sword to protect the chosen nation from its enemy. In Jewish mysticism, particularly in the Zohar, a central text of Kabbalah, Michael's sword is described as an instrument that purifies and separates the pure from the impure, acting as an extension of the divine light that penetrates all things and reveals their true nature. Beyond its spiritual symbolism, Michael's sword also took on cultural and political significance throughout history. In the Middle Ages, for example, the figure of Saint Michael was widely invoked by Christian armies in battles against enemies considered pagan or heretical. Several crusades, especially those in the Holy Land, named Saint Michael as one of their patrons, and the soldiers' swords, often blessed in religious ceremonies, were seen as extensions of Michael's sword, imbued with divine power. Many knights in particular adopted Saint Michael as their patron saint, and the image of his flaming sword became a symbol of strength, courage, and justice in earthly battles. In numerous medieval legends, knights claimed to have seen Saint Michael on the battlefield, wielding his celestial sword and bringing victory to the Christians. Devotion to Michael's sword remains strong today. In many churches and shrines dedicated to the Archangel, the faithful seek his intercession and protection in times of spiritual danger, believing in the power of the flaming sword to ward off evil. The prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, composed by Pope Leo XIII, directly mentions Michael's sword, asking him to cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. This prayer has become a vital part of the devotional practice of many Catholics, especially in times of temptation or spiritual crisis. In some exorcism rituals, Michael's sword is invoked as a spiritual force to break the chains that demons may have over soul. The belief that Michael can, with his sword, sever spiritual bonds that tie souls to evil is deeply rooted in both Catholicism and Orthodoxy. In moments of spiritual affliction, many people turn to his image with the flaming sword, visualizing the destruction of evil in their lives. Thus, St. Michael's sword is not just a symbol of power but also of purification, justice, and liberation. It represents the active presence of God in the world, working through Michael to protect, purify, and redeem. Whether in sacred texts, miraculous apparitions, medieval legends, or modern devotions, Michael's sword continues to inspire faith and courage, reminding believers that, in the end, God's justice will prevail. The role of Michael at the end of times. The role of Archangel Michael at the end of times, according to Scripture and Christian tradition, is of central and profound importance. He is described as the great warrior who not only leads the heavenly armies in battle against the forces of evil, but also as the protector of the faithful in times of greatest tribulation, playing a key part in the events that precede God's final victory over evil. This eschatological vision of Saint Michael is largely based on biblical texts, particularly the book of Daniel and the Revelation of John, but is also reinforced by theological and mystical traditions that view the Archangel as an indispensable figure in the consummation of time. In the book of Daniel, Saint Michael is described as the great prince who rises to protect God's people during a time of distress, such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. Daniel 12:1. This verse is one of the clearest indications of Michael's eschatological role, placing him as the defender of God's people in a moment of global catastrophe and crisis. The image of Michael that emerges from Daniel is that of a warrior angel, prepared to intervene directly in the human world during the last days, not only to protect the faithful but also to ensure that God's will is fulfilled. Daniel's prophecy, which mentions the resurrection of the dead and final judgment following Michael's intervention, directly links the Archangel to the most dramatic and definitive events in human history. The interpretation of Michael as a protector of the righteous during the end times also appears in Jewish traditions, particularly in apocalyptic literature. In apocryphal texts and the Talmud, Michael is often seen as the defender of Israel and the intermediary who pleads with God on behalf of his people. His figure takes on a cosmic character in apocalyptic texts, where he is depicted fighting the forces of chaos that attempt to subvert God's creation. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, especially in the book of the War of the Sons of Light against the Sons of Darkness, Michael leads the armies of the Sons of Light, representing God's people, against the Sons of Darkness, a symbol of the evil forces that dominate the world at the end of time. Here, Michael is portrayed as an implacable warrior whose victory symbolizes the restoration of divine order and the eradication of evil from creation. In the Revelation of John, Michael's eschatological role reaches its peak. In chapter 12, Saint Michael leads the angels in a battle against the dragon, Satan, and his fallen angels. The text states, "There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels fought back. But they were not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven." Revelation 12:7-8. This celestial battle is seen as a prelude to the events that culminate in God's final triumph over evil. The dragon, identified as Satan, is cast out of heaven, and this expulsion marks the beginning of evil's ultimate downfall in creation. Michael's participation in this crucial event reveals his function as the executor of divine justice and the defender of the faithful in the cosmic struggle between good and evil. The Revelation offers a deeply symbolic interpretation of this battle, suggesting that Michael's victory over the dragon is not only a physical triumph, but also a spiritual one. By casting Satan and his angels out of heaven, Michael protects the heavenly realm from the corrupting influence of evil, ensuring that God's purpose is fulfilled without interference. Moreover, Michael's victory foreshadows the future triumph of Christ over all forces of evil, a victory that will culminate with Christ's return and the establishment of his eternal kingdom. In this sense, Michael acts as an eschatological forerunner, preparing the way for Christ's second coming and the final judgment of humanity. Beyond the battle against the dragon, Michael's role in the end times also includes the resurrection of the dead and the judgment of souls, as suggested in the book of Daniel. He is often depicted as the angel who blows the trumpet at the end of time, signaling the moment of the final judgment. Michael's trumpet is seen as a call to awaken the dead from their graves, announcing the arrival of the day of judgment. His presence at this moment of resurrection reinforces his connection with divine justice, as he is the angel who protects the righteous and, according to some traditions, weighs the souls of men to determine their eternal fate. Beyond the biblical context, Catholic theology and church tradition expand this view of Michael at the end of times. During the Middle Ages, the image of Saint Michael as the ultimate defender of Christians against the Antichrist and his evil forces gained great popularity. Many theologians, such as Thomas Aquinas, interpreted Michael's role as crucial in the spiritual battle fought on earth between the church and the forces of evil. According to Thomas Aquinas, Michael acts as both the protector of the church and creation, and it will be he who, at the end of time, will finally defeat the forces of evil forever. In devotional tradition, the invocation of Saint Michael in prayers and eschatological liturgies reflects the intercessory role that the Archangel played. Prayers seek his protection against the temptations and attacks of the evil one, especially in the context of spiritual warfare. The famous prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, composed by Pope Leo XIII, directly mentions Michael's role at the end of times, asking him to cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. This prayer, recited after Mass in many churches, reflects the belief that Michael continues to fight against the forces of evil until the final moment of judgment. Finally, Saint Michael's figure in the end times is a source of hope for the faithful. He is seen as the symbol of God's final victory over evil and the continual protection that God offers to his people. His presence in Revelation and Daniel suggests that, although evil may have temporary power in the world, it will ultimately be defeated, and the faithful will be protected and brought to justice and eternal life. Michael's sword, his scales in judgment, and his trumpet at the end of time are powerful images of hope, justice, and victory, assuring Christians that, in the end, God's justice will prevail. What did you think of learning more about the power and mission of Archangel Michael? Now that you know how he acts in spiritual battles and at the end of times, why not share in the comments what impacted you the most? If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. There's a lot of incredible content coming up about the spiritual world, and you won't want to miss it. See you next time, and may Saint Michael always protect you.